IVM.
I want to thank Intel for supporting our show. Do you remember last year when we spoke about how the Intel vPro platform is built for business? Well, I'm glad to say we've kicked it up a notch. That's right, Intel is back with a new and improved version of the platform. The new Intel vPro platform lets you do more of what you want and less of what you don't. So it's better for you and for your IT teams, who really are the backbone of keeping your work-from-home experience easy and enjoyable. I can safely say that the new vPro platform gives you more enterprise efficiency with less constraints. Visit intel.in/morewithvpro, that's VPRO, to discover how you can get more done with less waiting. If you're listening on the IVM Podcast Android app, click the link that's visible to you now.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of the Positively Unlimited podcast. We've reached that letter in the alphabet where I usually have to cheat just a little bit. I'm talking about the letter X. Yes, so today's word is extend yourself. I know, it's spelt usually with an E-X-T-E-N-D. However, it's the intention that counts, okay? But why did I choose this word, or what is this going to be about? Well, today's episode is about a very interesting tool. Well, one that I use very often. In fact, it's my way of being. It's my way of thinking, and it's my natural response to many things in life. Extending yourself. Now, let me tell you, where did I learn this? And maybe that will also explain the concept that I'm trying to share with you in today's episode. When I was learning to be a life coach, and they were teaching us to set goals, well, one of the rules of setting goals is to first identify the realistic mark that you can reach and want to reach, and then extend that just a little bit so that you are pushing your boundary just the right amount. Now, why is that important? Because reaching our goals is not just about achieving something. It's also about growth. It's also about evolution. And whenever you are setting a goal, one of two mistakes are being made. Either you are setting a goal that's not appropriate because you are underestimating yourself, or then you are overestimating yourself, or you are impatient with yourself and setting something that is too far-fetched in the current reality. Now, the right goal, or the right finish line, so to say, is one that is connected to reality. It is steeped in reality. However, it's a little leap, or it's one jump after the real finish line, right? So doing just that little bit more. So for instance, if you know that you can run 5 kilometers in an X time, it's either setting a goal to run 6 kilometers or 7 kilometers in that much time, or then running 5 kilometers in 30 seconds or a minute less, right? Just that little bit more. Now, why am I sharing this with you at this point of time? Well, because I want all of us to understand one thing. We are at a time in this very strange year called 2020 when we all need to realign our goals, and we need to realign them taking these new circumstances and our changing reality into consideration. What do I mean by that? Well, depending on whatever your goals were and how the world was 8 months ago, you would have achieved it in an X amount of time, and you would have Y amount of support or circumstances working in your favor. However, right now, given this reality, both X and Y may not be valid aspects at all. So you have to relook at it, and you have to realign these goals. You have to realign your deadlines. You have to understand the circumstances and figure out what are the resources available to you and how are circumstances going to respond to those resources. And hence, what are the results that are possible and plausible? Listen to those two words again, or maybe repeat them. Possible and plausible. Now, plausible is what is reasonable. So that's the part where you are sticking to reality. And possible is asking yourself, what's that little bit extra I am willing to do and willing to believe in and willing to push towards? Hence, possible and plausible, or rather, plausible and possible. I'm going to give you another perspective to extending yourself. One is about pushing yourself just that little bit to reach a little more than the goal that you have set, or setting your goal just a little bit beyond what you think you can, right? The other thing is also extending yourself to live a fuller life. Now, why is this important? Because if there's one thing that this year has taught us, then it is that it's not just about career, or not just about money, or not just about relationships, but it has to be a little bit of everything, which means each one of us has to extend ourselves just a little bit through the day in different areas of our life to live it fully. It's very often said that there are two kinds of people: people who have a growth mindset and those who have a fixed mindset. Now, fixed mindset people are the ones who believe in living within their means. And growth mindset people are the ones who believe in expanding themselves to also expand their means and thus live more or do more or achieve more. Both sets of people have to understand one thing. People with fixed mindsets need to learn to extend themselves a little bit more. People with growth mindsets need to rein themselves in so that they don't get impatient with themselves right now. So the other perspective that I'm sharing is also, are you extending yourself the right amount and as is required in different situations? Now, if a fixed mindset person finds it hard to go beyond their means, a growth mindset person may often find it hard to change their pace of movement. So balance is important for both. But between the two, being a fixed mindset person or a growth mindset person, I'm prone to leaning towards the latter. I always believe in expanding my being to do more and reach for whatever it is that I want to, instead of cutting corners or reducing my desires and wants. But then again, that's me. I hope that when you listen to this episode, you figure out which area of your life you need to extend yourself, which area of your life you don't need to cut corners or limit yourself. In your relationships too, extend yourself. Just a little bit if that's all that's possible and plausible. But go ahead and do so. Because what you give is what you get. And in many things in life, the more you give, the more you get. Remember these two. These are two principles that I truly believe and live by. And I promise you this, that just keeping these two things in mind, what you give is what you get, and the more you give, the more you get, allows me to expand my being and allows me to embrace my limitlessness. Yes, we were not born to be limited. We have been built and created to be limitless. This world is limitless. And the opportunities are just as many as the obstacles. And given this truth, you need to know that your ability, what you can do, and what you are willing to do, so your willingness, both have to be limitless. What you can do is only limited by what you are not willing to do. You may want to rewind and listen to that piece again. And so on that note, this week, observe yourself, observe your daily routine and the things that happen in your daily life with the people involved in it, and ask yourself, where can I and where am I willing to extend myself so that I can live a fuller life and I can indulge in all the things that I truly wish to experience. On this note, I'm going to head off from here, but stay tuned for the other 2 episodes coming up before I wind up this series of A to Z. So make sure you connect with me on my Instagram. My handle is PositivityAngel for more updates on the next series of A to Z that's coming up. And to connect with us at IVM Podcasts, look us up on Instagram and Twitter. Our handle is IVM Podcasts. All previous episodes of this podcast are available on the IVM app and the IVM website. Have a good week ahead, and do let me know what it's like to extend yourself and experience that much more.
I hope you enjoyed that show. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Intel, for coming back to us. We love our sponsors. If you'd like to be one of them, do reach out. So really cool week on the network this week, right? Started off with a bang. Abhijit Ganguly was on Cyrus Says. Funny comedian. I think you guys will enjoy that. We had Dimant Parekh on Advertising is Dead. Dimant's the founder of Better India. Govindraj Athiraj is also on Uncle Please Sit this week. That's a really fascinating show which they talk about fake news. On The Habit Coach, there was a crossover event with Aditi Surana from Absolutely Right. I think you definitely enjoyed that. And last but not least, definitely a show I'd love you all to check out. We have a new show called This Round Is On Me. It's hosted by Gauri Devi Dayal. If you remember, Gauri and I worked on a show together called The Kolaba Cartel a while ago. Fun show. If you haven't checked that out, do check that out. But this is a show where she's talking to a lot of different people in the food space. Her first guest is Harsh Mariwala, legend in his own time. I think you'll really enjoy that show. But with that, we hope to see you again next week.
Hi guys, this is Ayushi.
And I am Ritasha.
And welcome to Agla Station Adulthood.
It's a fun podcast we've got going on, and we'd love for you to tune in and enjoy with us.
Join us as we stop at various stations and discuss different topics that seem to be bothering us, and hopefully
Dating,
you as well.
relationships, beauty, just being an adult, lots of different things.
We don't have a great grip on it, but we've done okay so far.
Catch Agla Station Adulthood every Thursday on the IVM app, the IVM website, or wherever else you get your podcasts.